Alrighty, guys. I hope I didn't scare any of you with the opening. I figured that's a thing that I wanted to... Oh, dear.
I hope I didn't scare any of you with...
No. I'm hearing myself. Bad. Very bad. Anywho. Whew. Yes, Cirrus is on time. I know, it's weird. It's very strange. Also, I think that the opening may not have actually had audio playing. Yumi. Not today, Yumi. Not today. Excellence USAF, I'm going to be mad, aren't I? Oh, yes. You're going to be mad. So, it's been a while since we've actually handled biblical gender roles. I've managed to steer clear of them for about 2 months with everything else that's been happening lately. What with the moving and the NIFB and everything else. But of course, we do have to return to these guys every once in a while. So, just because I'm focusing on the NIFB right now does not mean that I have forgotten all of our other lovely mainstays of the channel, including biblical gender roles, including Discount Hovend, and including many other that we have had to deal with in the course of the time that this channel has been up. Also, Yumi, I love you so much. You are a wonderful cat, and I'm so happy you're feeling better. You need to be over here. She can tell that I'm upset. I'm not overly happy with the topic that we're going to be covering today. Yumster, no. Okay, you know what, Yumi? I love you very much. I do. But if I'm going to do this, you're going to have to hop out. Okay. I would have loved to have Yumi in here, but I can't do it. I can't. She's in front of everything. So, alrighty. So what are we dealing with today? What type of madness have we managed to get ourselves into? Yumi is trying to save us all. Yeah, no, the particular topic we have on hand is not going to be fun to deal with. For those of you who are not familiar with biblical gender roles, because I know that I've had a decent growth in subscribers since the last time that I covered them, biblical gender roles is the... And yes, she is trying to calm me down. I'm actually angry. I'm holding that in. But biblical gender roles is the website that we've gone over about 7 times so far. Maybe more, actually. And their claim to fame when it comes to the atheist and skeptic community was a lovely article they posted a long time ago, maybe like 8 months now, where they said that women who have sex should be forced to experience pain. And I'm not being hyperbolic. This person, several times throughout their article, has actually expressed that there's no such thing as rape in a marriage. This person has said that any time that a woman has sex in marriage, that if there is pain, she should have to endure it for her husband's sake. They've also gone on record to point out that they've had a divorce, which leads me to believe that this person, I'm not going to name their name, though I do have it. That's a thing that I managed to procure, thanks to one of my fans. I'm not going to name their name, but this person, I am fairly certain, has abused one or both of their spouses throughout their lifetime. So, on Clickbox, didn't think this guy could surprise me anymore. I was clearly wrong. Yeah, no, I was too. The biblical gender roles guy is practically Steven Anderson. I would agree, except instead of focusing heavily on killing the gays, like Anderson does, it seems that the biblical gender roles guy likes to focus heavily on ways to abuse your spouse. So, here we are. As per usual, I have not gone through the entire article. I have skimmed it, and what I found throughout the time that I was skimming it was absolutely atrocious. So, without further ado, let's go ahead and begin his article. Posted on June 4th, 2019. So roughly around the time that we all started focusing really heavily on the NIFB, this guy managed to slip this thing in here. Aaron in the chat says, I would have been married at 16. This person is advocating for marriage as early as 7 years old. Less than half of that. So, going to the article itself. A Christian mother and a regular reader of my blog asked. Bear in mind, this person also censors anybody who comments on his blog that doesn't immediately agree with him. So a regular reader of his blog means a sycophant. Quissa in the chat, is the biblical gender roles guy identified? Well, that's good news, I think. It's not that they're identified, it's that an earlier version of their website actually, in earlier times, this person had actually had their name on their website. So people who dealt with them for longer had this information. He has since removed the information from his website, but, here we are. So, moving on to this. His regular reader asked, would society be better if we returned to the standard that girls could marry as soon as they menstruated and were capable of having kids? To ask such a question in America in the year 2019 seems patently absurd. Of course, society would not be better off with if girls could marry as soon as they menstruated. Before we go further to address the obvious absurdity of this woman's question, here's the full email from her down below. Here's the complete email that I have received from a woman calling herself Rebecca. Longtime reader, first-time writer. First, I want to thank you for your trenchant insights, observations, and monologues. It's great to find a man with such passion for Christ and a traditional way of life. You know what else was tradition at one point? Spousal abuse. So let's not do that. Let's not do that. Said I'm a married mother of 3. I'm a married mother with 3 daughters, 12, 13, and 16, and 1 son, 15, and my hubby and I are raising them to be good Christians and to abide by traditional gender roles. Because apparently these are important to some people. I recently had a discussion with my husband about the expectations for marriage, and we wondered, would society be better if we returned to the standard that girls could marry as soon as they menstruated and were capable of having kids? My 2 eldest daughters are certainly capable, and they are very motherly ready. This woman is saying that her 13-year-old daughter is ready to be a mom. Right now. I don't know if I need to go forward with how stupid this is. But if you're 13, you're not ready to be a mother. Especially because you cannot currently hold a job. Which means you can't provide for this child. It also means that you don't have the ability to go pursue the things that you want to do in your own life. Which means that you're losing out on the ability to have life experiences that will be very important for you to give to your child. So, let's see how BGR responds. Why do such statements as the ones above evoke such a sense of righteousness or righteous indignation from most of us in modern America and Western culture? We will discuss these reasons next. Why modern society disapproves of the pubescent marriage of women. Bear in mind, this person is saying why modern society believes this, not why he believes this. Skyrick Song in the chat says, this man makes me want to eat my own teeth. Odin, help me. This guy needs help. So can I go ahead and say that that would be one of the crunchiest snacks you could ever come up with? Thank you very much for the $5 donation, though. Child marriages involving only one marriage partner below the age of 18, usually the female, are also quite common. Throughout history till the 20th century, child marriages were the norm in most parts of the world. While the average life expectancy during such times was only 40 to 25 years of age, child marriages were the faster way to reproduce. Let's go ahead and stop right there for just a second. So, I don't know if it really needs to be stated that marriage is not required in order to be able to reproduce. I don't think that anybody... I don't think anybody in my audience, at least, doesn't understand the fact that marriage is not a prerequisite for sex, nor should it be, for multiple reasons. Sam says, I hope someone calls CPS on her. I would say that if a mother is trying to say, hey, should I go ahead and marry off my daughter because she's ready to be a mom? Yeah, no, that's skirting the line of abuse pretty tacitly. So, that girls were usually married off as soon as they reached puberty, or sometimes even prior to that. Also, thank you very much, Sam Mallory, for the $1.99 donation. It is incredibly helpful. Like, seriously, I want to go ahead and say it right now, and thank you very much, Lucifer, for the $1.99 donation as well. Child abuse, pure and simple. Yeah, I say tacitly skirting the lines because we don't necessarily have very hard speech laws here in America, so here, legally, it skirts the lines. Though, in reality, it is just abusive. I agree with that. But I did want to go ahead and say that every single one of you that does donate, thank you. Like, no, seriously. There has not been a point in my life where I have not, except for like one very brief moment, where I have not been in poverty. So every single one of you that donates is like a giant help. Don't worry, I'm still poor. Like, that didn't change. But you guys definitely allow me to be able to afford bills and eat, which is good for me, Raz, Aaron, and everything else. So thank you. Holy shit. I don't know if I can thank you guys enough. All right. Moving on with article. I just wanted to go ahead and get that thank you out of the way, because holy crap, you guys are amazing. So, in the same article, they mention, in addition to shorter life expectancies, that there were often economic reasons as well. Over the years, a large number of reasons have been suggested as triggers behind the practice of child marriage. Economic problems have been one of the primary factors that have forced parents to marry off their young girls. The system of dowry prevailing in many countries, where parents of girls have to bestow hefty sums of money or expensive goods and ornaments to their in-laws' families of their daughters, have led to the consideration of the girl child as a burden in such households. However, the high demand of young girls in the marriage market... I'm going to go ahead and stop right here for just a moment. One, Sadie79 has just donated $2.79, which is awesome. Two, has anybody else caught on that the language being used in this particular portion of the article is literally just objectification? It is treating women as part of a market. Like it's not even being subtle there. I recognize that they're using a quotation, though I do not know where this quotation comes from. But it is overtly speaking of a woman as if they are livestock. And somebody can, jump in me in my comment section and go, oh my god, Cyrus is being a white knight, blah, blah, blah. Okay, cool, but you do understand that if we lived in a society where this was happening to males, I would be fighting just as hard against something like this, right? Therefore, the hypothetical comment that will eventually be in the comment section that says that I'm being a white knight is stupid. It doesn't matter which side I'm talking about. No human deserves to be property, male, female, or otherwise. It just so happens that historically, we have done this to women a lot. The difference is, though, is that we managed to treat it as something more subtle. Because a woman who was married off and going to live her own life didn't necessarily feel like an object, even if they most certainly were being treated as one, whereas something a little different, say, the slave trade, it was a lot more blunt that these people were being treated as objects. This actually makes the former incredibly dangerous, because there are people from within who would rather not fight for their rights, because they say, no, I'm not being treated like an object. Meanwhile, there's a price tag on them that says $279. Damien says, I just got here. Any NFB trolls yet? Not yet. Not yet. Give it time. Give it time. However, the high demand for young girls in the marriage market have helped parents marry off their girl child to an older man, often receiving money in return, allowing them to overcome the burdens of dowry and even economically benefiting from the process. Yeah, this is literally just a business transaction. That's all this is. This is a business transaction. Can I breed Like, let's go ahead and say this is the mindset. Excellent COCF for 279. One life, please. As a example of how this would function back then, I have 3 daughters. Let me find the one that I think is the most pretty and therefore the one that's worth more, and then go find an old person who is lonely and I can marry this person off to so that they can pay me and I can overcome my financial debt. This raises 2 problems. 1, you're treating people as an object to be bought or sold. 2, you obviously live in a society that does not do anything to functionally help its poor because you have found yourself in a strait where you have to do this. This is a twofold issue. Moving on. But in the same article, we find the reasons for our modern Western society's disapproval of marriage of women at a pubescent age. Child marriage is associated with scientifically established adverse effects to the young female child's health. Pregnant girls below the age of 15 have a 5 to 7 times higher chance of dying during childbirth as compared to pregnant women in their 20s. Child mothers are also more susceptible to developing obstetric fistula, cervical cancer, sexually transmitted diseases, and other health problems. This makes sense, of course, because their immune system is not fully developed yet. Infant mortality rates are also 60% higher in cases of children born of mothers who are below the age of 13 years. Child marriage usually deprives the female child of educational rights, leading to the loss of financial independence in the child in her future. Child brides are also susceptible to domestic violence, marital rapes, and sexual abuse, as they are not mature enough to protest and not independent enough to escape the adverse situations in their conjugal life. So young mothers under 15 having a 5 to 7 times higher chance of dying from their pregnancy should be enough for all of us to oppose this, right? And then, what about the fact that these poor young girls may be deprived of education rights, which will lead to a loss of financial independence from their future husbands, and their higher susceptibility to tolerate future abuse from their future husbands? Is this not an open and shut case against the marriage of pubescent age women? Well, before we can totally wrap up our conclusion, we need to tie up a few loose ends. Oh boy. So that's how ANCAPs think too, for $10 from Comrade Valentine. In what capacity? I'm curious. I mean, I'm not an ANCAP. But I am trying to figure out what that is in reference to.
That's how ANCAPs think, though.
Thank you. I'm still working through the repercussions of it. Okay. So, I do see, at least from right here, it does seem like BGR is actually advocating that the prepubescent marriage of women is not okay. This seems to be something that they are currently advocating for. Yet they say that they need to tie up a few loose ends. So let's go ahead and tie up those loose ends with them real quick and see where we are. Robert Madwell, an ANCAP is an anarcho-capitalist. Putting maternal and infant mortality rates in perspective. 2 of the loose ends we need to tie up are the maternal and infant mortality rates. Previously, we were told one of the reasons that we should oppose the marriage of pubescent age women is because they have a higher chance of dying from childbirth. The maternal mortality rate is the number of women who die each year at any stage of pregnancy. The sad news for us as Christians and those who value human life is that 46 million of those pregnancies are ended. All right, guys. This started out as him trying to say, oh yeah, no, child marriage is bad. He's turned it into an anti-abortion article. He's turned it into an article saying that women should not have the right over who gets to use their own bodies. That's where we are. It went right to abortion. Just right there. The sad news for us as Christians is those who value human life, as if a woman who has to have an abortion does not also value human life. They're ended by the murderous act of abortion. This means that 165 million women continue with their pregnancies. Of those 165 million pregnancies, 123 million will be successful, meaning that the mother gives birth and the child survives. Of the children that survive these, 2.51 million, or 2%, will die before reaching their first birthday. This is the global infant mortality rate. About 302,950 women die each year worldwide from pregnancy. We also have a new subscriber. Awesome. That means women worldwide have a 0.2% chance of dying from pregnancy-related health problems, or, on the other hand, they have a 99.8% chance of dying from pregnancy. To put these numbers further in perspective, of those 302,950 women who die from pregnancy each year, 99% of pregnancy-related deaths occur in the developing world. And even in... Okay, so this is literally just turned into an anti-abortion article. He's literally just trying to go, every complication somebody could possibly suffer from a pregnancy only happens in the developing world, and we don't deal with those here in the first world. And so he's pushing those off. Like, that seems to be what's happening. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm misreading the direction that this article is going. But that seems to be what's happening. Oh, and Comrade Valentine did respond, ANCAPs want to profit from everything. They don't care about mortality or morality. Well, I guess either one. Either one works. Yeah, no, I can agree. This is the same reason that we end up having people who are hyper-capitalists say that, oh, we need to have American jobs. Well, no, actually, capitalism literally means that you're going to have to find the cheapest way to get labor in order to sell those goods, which means going to places that have less restrictive labor laws, especially child labor laws, and creating factories there is going to be the best way to get those goods created for the lowest amount that you can. Literally, it's the antithetical progression that you get from that when you have unregulated that. So I can definitely agree with that assessment. So moving forward with this, the key numbers to take away from this section on maternal infant mortality rates are that 0.2% of women who get pregnant and do not murder their unborn children later die as a result of pregnancies. Yep, that's just hyperbole. Moving past the hyperbole, a total of 2% of infants worldwide will die before they reach their first birthday. And statistically speaking, the vast majority of these deaths that occur in both these categories occur in Africa. Because if a human dies in Africa and a human dies in the United States, that death is still the same. Like, that's still a death. Is it less of a human because it dies in Africa? Is this turned into a race realism article? Query Jackie says evangelicals are okay with women and with turning women and girls into martyrs. Yeah. Atheist Witch in the chat. It's irrelevant. One child death due to giving birth is one too many, and we have ways of preventing it. Nope, I agree. It doesn't matter if this death happens here in the United States or it happens in a freaking third world country. If you have a way to prevent it, do so. The saddest number in all these numbers is, of course, the worldwide fucking shite. Really, dude? The saddest number in all these is the purposeful murder of 22% of children in their mother's womb by the act of what modern civilization calls abortion. Literally, this is supposed to be would society be better if girls married as soon as they menstruated? And it turned into an anti-fucking abortion article. Like that. Instantly. This man literally went from, let's tie up some loose ends on whether or not women should be married as soon as they can menstruate, which, by the way, can happen as early as 7 years old, to, nope, abortion, bad, get rid of it. This is like no bullshits level of meandering around the point instead of actually getting to the fucking point. Oh, boy. The societal impact of economic and social independence for women. Another loose end we need to tie up has to do with women's social and economic independence from men. After all, that is a good thing, right? Every time I've gone through a biblical gender roles article, whenever he starts with this thing right here, it almost always means that he does not agree with this statement and he's going to try to back up why he does not. Remember, I've only skimmed the article. That might not be the case. He might actually agree that women should have social and economic independence from men. Just as men, if we were in the same situations, should be able to have social and economic independence from women, which I think is a statement he would agree with, yet apparently, classically, every time I've gone through BGR, it seems that the idea that men should be able to be financially independent from women is okay, but the idea that women should be independent from men financially is not okay, according to BGR. So let's see if he's consistent, or if he managed to actually grow a spine and become a good human being. For most of the history of mankind, with few exceptions, women were economically and socially tied to their fathers or their husbands, and were considered the property of their fathers or husbands. Women could not own property, and if they did inherit property, it would come under their husband's authority upon marriage. In divorce, fathers retained full custody of the children. We're not going that route, are we? Are we going the custody route? Are we doing the custody battle? Because that's a thing that varies state by state. Are we really going to go that way? Please don't go down the MRA rabbit hole. That sounded very MRA. The fact that women could not own property, could not easily divorce their husbands, and when they did divorce, they had to live without their children, and without any property or income, was a strong incentive for women to stay with their husbands. This all changed in the mid-19th century with the rise of feminism. It began with women suing in the court for the right to own property as men did. Then, in the late 19th century, the historic custom of fathers retaining full custody of their children was reversed, and full custody was given to the mothers. Fathers did not gain back at least joint custody rights until almost a century later, in the 1960s. You are aware that, like, when you have an egalitarian system, you end up having, like, this little disparity on the other end in an effort to try to get things back into equal status? And that you wouldn't have to have an egalitarian system come into play if you didn't have people fucking over other people earlier on. I knew he would fucking go to the MRA route. I knew it. MRA stands for Men's Rights Activists. Men's rights activism is a response to feminism in the same way that the straight pride parade is a response to the LGBTQ pride parade. It's this perceived idea that they're being oppressed because they can no longer oppress a minority group, and because they are not able to oppress in the way that they would before, they must now somehow be oppressed. Now, the incentive that brought women to marriage to men and kept women in marriage to men had been all but destroyed. You know what the only incentive you need to have for marriage? The only one? Literally. Loving the person who you are with. If you do not love the person who you are with, you should not be in this position where you have to marry them. It was also during this time that women began to throw of the authority of their fathers. Yeah, his editor's wonderful. This man has an editor, by the way. His editor's just shit. To throw of the authority of their fathers in court, and began the new practice of dating. Newsflash. Dating is not a recent phenomenon. And in fact, actually, it's a healthy phenomenon. If I decide tomorrow that I want to get married with Raz, if I feel like a government document is required for that, I will have now spent 3 years of my life with this person. I've been through ups, I've been through downs, I've been through homelessness with them, I've been through several households, I've been there when she hasn't been able to work, she's been there when I haven't been able to work. We've been through the ringer. I know this is somebody who's going to be able to stand by my side. That is what dating allows for. Dating allows you to gain those experiences before marriage to figure out if, when you finally decide that that piece of paper is something you want to go for, if this person is actually going to be there for you. When you try to say that dating is bad, you are arguing against everything that I just said. For giggles, I'm going to go ahead and let this be the segue where I try to breathe, where the subscribe button comes onto the screen, and then I hit the thing like that. And then also, like, I mentioned Raz, so there she is, just right there. She apparently glitched out. She'll walk away, don't worry. There she go. There we go. There's my little breather. There's my breather. Because holy shit. The dude actually did go there. Alright, continuing in. It was also during that time when began... Okay, we're already there. Men and women entering marriage based on the historic principles of faith, duty, honor, and economics gradually was replaced with men and women entering marriages simply for love, which was really just infatuation. Love was really just infatuation? You realize that, like, that... Okay, so we're going to do a thing. We gonna do a thing here. We're gonna look up a definition. Let's see here. Let's get a good working definition of infatuation. Infatuation, an intense but short-lived passion or admiration for someone or something. You do realize that if people get married after dating long term, that it can't be infatuation. It fails the definition. It completely fails that definition. There are some people who do date short term and do get married early, and then they find out that it was infatuation and that they aren't actually in love. The chemicals are not there doing the things and firing the happy go-go dopamines, and then they end up not staying together and having to divorce or annul. This is a thing that happens. But to paint it in such a way that BGR is right now, where everything that is marriage after dating is just infatuation, is wrong. Like, we're gonna have to... Oh no, we can't even hide you from channel. That's fine. So, there are some times that infatuation can lead to long-term love and long-term relationships and long-term marriage. These are not cut and dry scenarios. And since women had come to gain alimony, child support, and property rights, there was little incentive for them to stay in marriage to a man once the infatuation wore off. Also, Damien in the chat, it's official, God's real, and he's rewinding time to destroy us. I'm an atheist, by the way. Thank you very much for the $5 super chat, my friend. Thank you very, very much. So, this caused divorce rates to skyrocket from 3% before the rise of feminism to 13% by the time women's suffrage was ratified in 1920. This is okay, so let me go ahead and say this right now. Can anyone provide me an argument as to why divorce is inherently a bad thing? Because to argue that divorce is inherently a bad thing, you would then have to argue that if a woman or a man is with an abusive partner, really anybody, doesn't matter how you identify, you're with an abusive partner, right? Man, woman, non-binary, doesn't matter. Everybody has a capacity for abuse. You find yourself with a partner, and you get married to them, and you realize that they're abusive. They're gaslighting you. They could be beating you. They're doing any of these things. To argue that divorce is inherently a bad thing, you have to argue that this person getting a divorce from this abusive situation is a bad thing. And you will fail in this argument. 0. Something can be inherently bad and be less than the alternative. Just saying. You are correct, but I don't think that humans splitting off from one another is inherently a bad thing. I view it as an amoral position. It is not immoral, nor is it moral. There are moral divorces, there are immoral divorces, good ones and bad ones, but it is not inherently good, nor is it inherently bad in this particular situation. Excellence USCF for the $5. Thank you very much. These guys are bad, but sometimes I think that the more clean-cut, like Girl Defined and Paula Morgan, are worse. Most people will ignore this crazy crap. Most people will ignore it, but the NIFB exists. So, there's enough people that read this blog that it bothers me. And this blog's been going for enough years, and it bothers me. So, was the thing that was in there. There was something about an abuse being breaking vows. There's a lot of bots today. Quite a few bots. All right. So, and where were we? Oh, yes. Anna Howard Shaw, one of the champions of the first wave feminism, made the following statement in February 25th, 1915, the New York Evening Post. Were you really going to have to go back that far for you to support your argument? Okay. I believe in women's suffrage, whether all women vote or no women vote, whether all women vote right or all women vote wrong, whether women will love their husbands after they vote or forsake them, whether they will neglect their children or never have any children at all. Anna Howard summed up the goals of the political feminist movement in the 19th and 20th century. The total liberation of independence of women from men, no matter what the cost to society. I wonder if this person's familiar with the idea of a negative peace. A peace that is only maintained because the oppressed group isn't allowed to speak. And therefore there is a feeling of peace in the environment. This is the concept of a negative peace. This person is saying that things need to be regressed back to a point where we had a negative peace, where the only reason we had a peaceful and functioning society was because we were oppressing a group and did not allow that group to speak. What cost did we pay as a nation? Well, Anna Howard Shaw's words came true. Women gained the right to vote and gained the right to force men to hire them for any positions they wanted. Force men to hire them? Hold on. Hold on a fucking second. And in 1973, they gained the right to murder their unborn children under the guise of total bodily autonomy. It's not a guise, actually. In fact, bodily autonomy is not even an apt word for it. It's bodily integrity. Your bodily integrity should not be violated. This is actually supported by the University of Cambridge. It's the reason I'm starting to change my language on it. The University of Cambridge doesn't fucking agree with you, my dude. Okay, now, women can force anyone to hire them for any positions they want? That's a thing that he says? Okay. All right. I'm going to do a thing. Okay. Here's what we need. I am live. I am live. I need you to read this. So this is about women gaining rights in the United States. So I want you to read this right now, and then tell me your employment status.
And what cost did we pay as a nation? Well, Anna Howard Shaw's words came true. Women gained the right to vote and even gained the right to force men to hire them for any positions they wanted.
So, I have a question, Raz. I have a question. So, what's your employment status?
unemployed.
So why haven't you forced any men to hire you for the position that you want?
I didn't know that this was in my natural fucking rights.
Apparently this is a thing that BGR has allowed you to gain.
Like, okay,
thank
hire
BGR.
me, bitch, hire me.
What position do you want? Missionary?
What do I do? Do I just like walk up to some dude and I'm like, hey bitch, I'm now your boss. Fucking sit. Is that just what I do?
Apparently you're able to force men to hire you for any position you want.
Right? Just how?
Okay.
I don't understand. I'm gonna take Yumi and I'm gonna give Yumi to you.
No, I can't have Yumi right now.
Why?
She keeps on getting in the way of everything. I've locked her out of the room. Okay. Thank you for your contribution, honey. Please take Yumi and close the door.
I'm taking the kids and I'm leaving.
Karen, why? Okay. So, apparently, according to biblical gender roles, BGR, as we abbreviate, women can force men to hire them for any position they wanted. This is the problem with hyperbole. Okay? Whenever you make an incredibly hyperbolic statement, you leave it up to interpretation in such a way that stupid shit like what just happened right now can happen. You've created an argument now through the improper use of hyperbole where you're saying something that's an outright lie. Also, Fierce Fatty is $2. I think BGR is NIFB. There's a chance of that. And Uncle Yubi in the chat as well for $2. Thank you very much for the $2 donation. Thank you for reading with this bullshit. It's a pain to go through. Renata in the hire me in the area. I can force people to hire me, fire your editor, and fucking hire me instead, BGR. I'll use this opportunity to shut down your sexist website. You know, I do it. BGR is a guy. You can force him to do this. According to BGR, you can force him to hire you. Like, I don't know. I don't know how we're supposed to feel about this one. I don't. All right. Continuing on with the hyperbole. The social and economic independence of women in America has directly led to rampant sexual immorality, the decline of marriage, and over 600 million divorces and over 600 million, or 60, over 60 million divorces and over 60 million abortions. My dude Rooney, my friendo. I have a question. What was the number that you stated up here? What was the number? What is this number up here? I believe... All right. Can somebody in the chat tell me what number I've got highlighted in this sentence? Please. Just, it's okay. You can type it out in the chat. This is how many murders, abortions he has there. Okay, cool. Now, let's scroll back down to his next statement here. Over how many? Over how many? So these numbers have to be the same number, right? They have to be. Because his previous argument hinged on it. Like, which is it, BGR? Which is it? Is it 46 million? Or is it 60 million? You have a holocaust of people in between those two numbers. Antoinette Hera in the chat for $5. Thank you very much for that, by the way. Not enough brain bleach to scrub away this filth that is and El Gran Pendejo. That is a big difference in numbers. That is, whew. It is an incredible difference in numbers. Yeah, he pulls the numbers out of his ass. Remember, guys, this man has an editor. This man has a person who checks his stuff and edits it in order to make sure that the topic that he is presenting will be as concise, as accurate, and as verbose as needed. He is here to make sure that his verbiage is correct, that his rhetoric is on point, and that he is being a good orator through writing. That is the editor's job. This man needs to fire his editor. The arguments against the marriage of pubescent women are faulty. Well, it seems that in our effort to tie up loose ends regarding an opposition to pubescent women marrying, we have instead unraveled the entire ball of yarn. This is where he starts to backpedal from, yeah, no, we don't need to have women marrying at the age of 7, to changing it up into, actually, no, the arguments against women marrying as early as the age of 7, which is as early as the earliest that I know, it could be earlier, that a woman can start menstruation. So he's now backpedaling into this. Excellency SCF, I may have put my glass down a bit hard. Yeah, I know. Carrie Hazlitt, I still don't understand. What is it that you do not understand? I'm curious. I'm not trying to be denigrating or anything. I'm curious. Some women start menstruating as young as 5. Cirrus, I'll send the link to that. Well, I guess this guy must be in agreement with Islam. No, it's not faulty just because she's menstruating. It doesn't mean that she's mature enough to handle a marriage. I mean, slavery. Yeah. No, I agree. These dudes just want to, yeah. Yeah, I think that's what's happening. Oh, you know, before I get into this, this is completely unrelated, but also probably important. So you know how the NIFB celebrates the death of all the people at the Pulse nightclub shooting, and that's the reason that they went specifically to Orlando 2 days after the Pulse nightclub shooting anniversary for the Make America Straight Again thing? Okay, cool. I would like you guys to perhaps read the title of this article. It's hard to read, I know. Hold on. No, I can't get it. Anyway, pastor who celebrated Orlando massacre gets 35 years for child molestation. Anti-gay pastor who claimed the Orlando victims got what they deserved will spend the rest of his life in prison. Pastor Ken Adkins was sentenced to life for aggravated child molestation earlier this week. Adkins will be eligible for parole after 35 years, but by that time he will be over 90 years old and more than likely dead. If he does manage to live long enough to be released, he will spend the remainder of his life on probation. Isn't it interesting how this happens? It's just strange. It's just so strange. I know that these two people are not related, but it does seem that this is also a thing that we're going to be going over later. Perhaps not in this video, but trust me, we got a guy to go after. So, it did not state the gender. No, not that I saw. As always, bigger frisch. I am trying to find... Okay, so, Skylark Song, there's at least one case of an infant menstruating. Well, thank you very much for that, Scout. Thank you very much for the $2. Comrade Valentine, I was going to have dinner. My appetite is spoiled. I'm sorry. I did not mean to spoil your appetite. Sirs, how can he advocate for pedo but yet says that LGBT is pedo? How are these mental gymnastics? They are some incredible mental gymnastics. like really incredible mental gymnastics. This person manages to go and say that LGBT... This person specifically, maybe not, but in many cases we have pastors who say that LGBTQ is an advocacy for pedophilia, and then in the same breath, can write articles like this that are literally... This article right here is a giant pedophilia advocacy article. That's all this fucking is. The youngest age at which a woman can give birth fully is a 12-year-old Dutch girl who gave birth on a school trip. This was sent to me by Aaron's chair. Oh, wait, no. No. The youngest a girl can still give birth. What is this? A woman can get pregnant and have a baby as soon as she's ovulating or producing eggs. This typically occurs about a year after they first begin menstruating, which is usually between 11 and 12. Lena, a girl born in 1933, began menstruating at the age of 8 months and was raped at 5 years old and gave birth at 6 years and 5 months. Yikes. That's yikes. That is absolutely fucked. She had to have a C-section. Obviously, the body is too small at that point. Her son, born by cesarean section, was raised as her brother. Oh my God. Yeah, I would say so. I would agree, Renata. Although I will say that I don't know. I don't want to say anymore. Because this is skirting into some really, really shitty territory. And there's already plenty in the article. However, I would say this. Renata, you and I need to have a conversation after this. Because you have helped me with some information on this person before. All right. Before I show how the arguments against pubescent women marrying are faulty, I want to explain some terminology I have been using. The way we label something for someone can very much affect how we view that something. For instance, those who oppose abortion as a right for women call ourselves pro-life, while those who believe abortion is a right call themselves pro-choice. Pro-life advocates such as myself call the baby a baby from the moment that it is conceived. Pro-choice refer to the biological states as the words zygote or embryo or fetus in an attempt to dehumanize. No, do not do this. Do not do this. Also, Carmine Valentine says, praise Lady Karma. You've been saying my name wrong, by the way. How am I supposed to pronounce it? If you can give me a phonetic on how to pronounce it, then let me know. Because I'm sorry that I have been mispronouncing it. Also, I need to check Discord, apparently. Lemongrass in the chat, I'm so disgusted I'm vomiting money. Okay. This is me. This is me right now. And there's the libel. I'm not exactly certain what libel we are speaking of. All I'm doing is reading their blog and finding all the horrible shit they've posted. This is how I feel right now, though. Thanks to Gaelic Knox. So, honestly, a lot of pro-choice advocates don't even like the pro-choice label. I would rather say reproductive rights advocates. I'm okay with it being this is me. This is me in the spotlight losing my religion. So we have a disagreement on terms here. I agree 110% with the way that we use these words affecting how we feel about these arguments going forward. For instance, this person may say that they are a pro-life advocate. I would say that they're a misogynistic pro-control advocate, or possibly a forced pregnancy advocate, or, as they have stated clearly in many blogs, a rape advocate. That's the label I would use for BGR. And I agree that that would definitely affect the conversation going forward. Because by just calling this person pro-life, I'm not actually getting into all of the arguments they've ever made over all of their blogs that say that they are literally a misogynist, a rape advocate, somebody who thinks that forced marriage is okay, somebody that thinks that abuse of a wife is okay. It doesn't actually get me anywhere there. Also, pro-choice is not anti-life. To say that is patently incorrect. Because if you want to measure life by the numbers of people that we have that are alive and not by the quality of life that those people can have, then you're measuring just lumps of flesh at that point. You're not measuring people by who they actually are, which is their experiences. And your ability to have life experiences in many times is tied to your economic status, and your economic status is tied and negatively affected by the birth of children. I've been saying Valentine, it's Valentine. Oh, I'm sorry, Comrade Valentine. Have I been saying Valentine? Have I? Oops. I'm sorry. Excellence USAF in the chat, $2. Anti-quality of life advocate. Yeah, I would agree with that. Beer is fucking Hakayim already. Any of the DBZ women can handle him, and I'd love to watch that. I would love to see Bulma have a conversation with BGR. Because if Bulma can handle Vegeta, she can handle this guy. And by the way, we've heard BGR's voice. This person is like the little nasally... Like, granted, I'm nasally, so I can't really say anything. Speaking of nasally, I'm about to sneeze. Anywho, we've heard this person's voice. This person sounds incredibly scrawny. Bulma, from Dragon Ball Z, could lay into this person. And she's had no fighting training. None! Absolutely none. So, any of the DBZ women, any one of them could handle this person. So, continuing on. Working now to get footage of my IFB press. Your dad preaching on this. Grew up hearing it. Wouldn't be surprised if BGR is an IFB, or at least old IFB. One of the two, I would probably agree. I need to go and do some background research on him, because there's a lot of stuff. What is his name? Emmett. I will help you in a bit. But give me a moment. We have to get through the smorgasbord of crap first. Also, we are currently at 308 viewers. Holy shit. Thank you guys. Like, not just thank you for all the donations, because those are awesome too, but over the last month, I've consistently been able to get 200 to 300 viewers on videos lately, and I don't know what changed. And all I can say is thank you guys. That is just awesome. All right, continuing on with BGR's article. Also, this person says that a zygote, embryo, or fetus are words that are used to dehumanize a baby who has not been born yet. No, those are actually just scientific terms that we use to describe the various ways in which a baby is formed. The same way that we don't call an egg anything but an egg until sperm has hit it and has allowed it to start hatching and growing. Calling it an egg is not dehumanizing. That's just the classification that it's at that point. Deal with it. The Zygotes, the best 80s superhero teen cartoon ever. Okay, Human beings go through a transition phase from child to adult, and this transition phase is called puberty. Partially correct, but not fully. Not fully correct. Because puberty is the time where you become sexually mature. However, the term adult is a sociological term that we have used to classify somebody who is also mentally mature. Sexually mature does not matter for this. Children are human beings in the prepubescent stage of development. Adolescents are human beings that are at some stage of puberty. When the changes to puberty are complete, the human adolescent becomes a human adult. That is not how those classifications really function. We don't have... When we consider something or someone an adult is not up to biology, because they are still growing at this point. That comes down to what we have learned and determined as a society. But of course, any type of sociological research, this person... But wait, no, absolutely fucking not. This person literally cited sociological research earlier in his article. And yet now he's disagreeing with what we would term these things sociologically. This person's inconsistent as shit. It's not just 46 million to 60 million. He literally is willing to use one branch of science until it stops functioning for him, and then he moves into his own personal brand as soon as it stops working for his argument. Like, what? Those who say... Oh, hold on. Rolling back. Girls typically start puberty around 11, while some start as early as 9 or 10, and then they typically complete puberty by the age of 14. Boys start a little later than girls, typically around the age of 12, and they finish puberty around the age of 16 or 17. Those who say a female human being who has experienced the major changes of puberty, which are development of breasts, pubic hair, and the start of menstruation, is a child, are stating biological falsehood. Again, we don't determine these things biologically. We don't. We determine these things sociologically. Because marriage is not a biological imperative. Marriage is a sociological imperative that has been imposed by various societies. Whether a person is ready for marriage, which is your argument, falls in the category of sociology, not biology. This person is arguing two separate categories and equivocating the fucking two. He is committing a category error. This is a classic example of a category error. Category errors are informal fallacies. And Florin Bailey in the chat says that I'm a biologist and this is wrong. They are biologically still immature. Thank you, because there are other things about biology that are still growing at this point. Namely your brain, something that BGR doesn't seem to fucking have. We don't determine these things just by, oh, did the pubic hair... We do not determine whether or not a girl is ready for marriage by looking down her skirt to see if she has pubic hair. Which, by the way, if you do that, then you're really fucked up. And please, never speak to me. That's gross. We don't do that. We determine these things by age, and the reason we determine these things by age is because we've seen that, on the whole, there are certain things that also need to develop, like your mental state, and those things don't happen until later. We don't do that. But this person is saying this is okay to do. BGR is saying that this is okay to do. It is okay to go, hey, is this little girl ready for marriage? Let's go ahead and do a thing that we would consider molestation in literally any other sense. But BGR is advocating for that to be done, to determine whether or not a woman, by his standards, an 11-year-old, should be able to get married. I can only assume that the reason that he's advocating so hard for this is not just because he's an abuser to his wife, which he most certainly is based on every single thing that I've seen him write, but that he must in some way want this. So, in the chat, press H if we think that BGR possibly is trying to change the sociological norms to make it acceptable for him to pursue an 11-year-old, or G if you disagree. This is very H. This is very H. The chat is incredibly H. H, but younger. BGR is biblical gender roles. Okay, that's enough Hing. That's plenty of Hing. Even though I'm pretty sure that there's a particular H that this person likes to pursue. That is a lot of H's. H, but psychos. Okay. So, let us continue with his shit, as it were. You were supposed to bring balance to the Force, not leave it in darkness. Those who say a human being who has experienced the major changes of puberty, which are development... Hey, that's the biological falsehood thing. This is why I have consistently referred to this argument about the marriage of pubescent women, because a female human being who has experienced the changes of puberty is no longer a child. When we acknowledge the fact that worldwide a total of 0.2% of women die from pregnancy-related to deaths, and that included pubescent mothers, then the even if... Dude! Hire a different editor! Hire an editor that is not this person. Why the hell do you have an editor who allowed for this fucking sentence? Then the even if. Then the even if. They represent a higher proportion of that 0.2%, and it does not make a strong case against pubescent women marrying. Instead, we can respond with the fact that at least 99.8% of pubescent women worldwide will survive their pregnancies. The comfort of the many is never a justification for the oppression of the few. This is the thing that we got with transgender bathrooms. The comfort of cis people is not an argument for the regression of rights of trans people. This is the same thing we got with Jim Crow laws. The comfort of white people is not an excuse for the regression of rights, or the, not being able to grant rights to black people. You do not get to argue, well, the majority this, and then let that be your argument. That does not work. It has never worked. The only people who think this works are the ones who want to oppress other people under their boot. Which BGR most certainly does because of every other thing that I have dealt with. Every other thing that I have dealt with from BGR mirrors this. When we acknowledge the fact that only 2% of all infants worldwide will die in the first year of their life, and even if children from pubescent mothers make up more than 2% than the children from pubescent women, we can rightly say that pubescent mothers have at least a 98% chance of their children surviving within their first year of life. Do you know what else has a 98% chance of happening? Look this up. Look this up. In cases of incest, for cousins as an example, there's only a 2% chance of regressive genetic mutations. Bad ones that we do not want to have happen. Within that first span. Your argument mirrors an argument that would be pro-incest, which he would not agree with. But the logic is consistent between the two. If it's 98% okay, it must be all right, right? Right? That's where we are. That's the level of logic that we are seeing from BGR. Some may respond that there are numbers that mix the developed world and undeveloped worlds. But let me remind you of the World Health Organization numbers. Oh, don't even bring the WHO in. And Tony Designs has a clear thing in there. First cousins, it's actually less than 2%. Anything more distant is generally no worse than random strangers. His argument functions just as well for incest. BGR is located in Alabama, confirmed. The World Health Organization is a great resource, and I've used it in debates before. But you have to be consistent. The World Health Organization is not a resource that he would use when determining the different variations in sex that we have. He wouldn't. This is a person who would say there are only two sexes. And in fact, this is a person who would also say that sexes and gender are the same thing, which the World Health Organization does not recognize. But he's willing to quote them when it's convenient to him. We come to other social reasons for oppositions to marriage for pubescent women. Also, we have $2 from this person. The if. The editor. Even if the editor and BGR had a brain. Thank you very much for the $2 donation, this person. That is amazing. And also, I agree. If they had a brain. I would create a straw man of their argument. But they're already there. So, what are the reasons that these pubescent women will have the loss of financial independence from their husband will most likely be because they do not finish high school and college and get careers before marrying? Well, of course not. If you're advocating for a child at 11 years old to be married and have a child as well, they're not going to finish high school. They're not going to get careers before marrying. They're 11 years old. But based on the stats we just showed, with correlate with granting the economic rights to women, correlation is not causation, by the way, just so you understand that. Rights to women with the destruction of marriage by de-incentivizing women to seek and stay in marriage to men is the loss of financial independence for women a bad thing? The answer, if we believe that lasting marriages form a bedrock of stable civilization, must be no. His statement, and I quote, is the loss of financial independence for women a bad thing? The answer must be no. The loss of financial independence for anyone is a bad thing. I swear this guy's going to go full lobster soon. He's going to go full freaking Jordan Peterson levels of lobsterism soon. Full lobster is the idea that there are biological imperatives to social hierarchies. Because we find in lobsters that there are gendered norms within them, and they also happen to form social hierarchies when creating their own sub-societies. So when somebody's going full lobster, they're literally saying that a woman not being able to have financial independence from a man is a biological imperative. That is what going full lobster is. Let him go full Peterson lobster. So, But we must press on. How much more do we have? We're going to highlight this as our place. We're only halfway through. We are only halfway through, guys. Only there. I'm so sorry, everybody. I'm so sorry. Oh, God, the chat. Oh, boy, the chat is not ready. They are not ready for the continuing. Okay, well, I guess that's it, guys. I guess that's it. Goodbye, everybody. No, I'm kidding. I'm back. Okay, so. And finally, what about the assertion that the pubescent brides are more susceptible to domestic violence? He's going to go into the domestic violence part. Marital rapes and sexual abuse, as they are not mature enough to protest and not independent enough to escape adverse situations in their conjugal life. Is this a strong enough argument on its own for us to oppose pubescent women marrying? Are there some men that truly do abuse their wives? Whether they enter marriage as pubescent women or post-pubescent women? Absolutely. But again, we must put things in perspective. Just as we cannot toss out women getting pregnant because a tiny fraction of women may die from pregnancy, so too can we not throw out marriage for pubescent women because of the sad fact that a higher fraction of a tiny percentage of pubescent women will be truly abused. Now that I have shown the arguments against pubescent women marrying to be faulty and weak, we will now present strong arguments for the marriage of pubescent women. BGR. Dude. You don't understand what you're doing. You don't. You really don't. He's reaching brain levels that shouldn't be possible. Yeah, no, we're here. Sorry. Lonnie says, sorry, man, I can't keep listening to this insanity. Have a good night if you can. You know what sucks? And I'm not saying that you can't go. Like, obviously, if this is hard for you guys to stomach, then by all means, step out. There's no reason for you to have to subject yourself to this. I just know that I do because this is something that I want to actively fight against. It does not mean that you have to join me on this journey. But I still have to edit tomorrow's video. So, my night has only just begun. Renata Chan in the chat, more child brides actually end up dying when they try to consummate the marriage. Why doesn't he care about the lives of these girls? Because they're a small statistic. He doesn't care about them because they're a small statistic. That's the reason why. That's the whole reason that he does not want to care about that. Jake 3D in the chat, did this asshole just go full pedo? Yes, he did. Biblical Gender Roles has just gone full pedo. And don't worry, YouTube. I'm going to go ahead and say this now because this video, like every video that I ever make, is going to be demonetized, at least at some point. YouTube. If you demonetize a video where somebody is trying to be an advocate for a minority group, or just at this point 50% of the fucking population, you're literally saying that advertisers would not want to spend money on somebody fighting for women's rights. But it's okay, YouTube. It's okay. We'll continue on. Also, chat has broken. Let me see if I can't fix it. There we go. Chat works now. Just sent you sanity. BGR's effects. Okay, so we do have a little bit of sanity here. First of all, we have fan art that has been submitted. This is the effect of BGR on me. Go ahead and cut off the volume bar. Cut off that bar. And this is an accurate representation of how I feel. Very accurate. We also have... Okay, guys. It's very H, everybody. This was just created by Gaelic Knox. Chat is very H. I'm gonna have to get this large. We need very H Cirrus to be very large. There we go. Whenever things are very H, this is what we do. We will bounce between Jack and Quill and Gaelic Knox. But both of them communicate the same message. You were supposed to destroy the Sith, not join them. Oh, boy. Did his first two marriages fail and now he wants a kid because they're impressionable? If memory serves, there's a portion in here. I could be wrong. But if memory serves, there's a portion in here that may actually support that. Kane, in the chat, the Primogen. Is that a Turok reference? Anywho, so the history behind the H thing is whenever I have a binary question to the audience, I'll say, hey, if yes, H, if G, no. So whenever everybody presses H repeatedly in the chat, we end up getting that the chat is now very H. Now, continuing forward. Also, hi, Jasden. I didn't know you watched my stuff. I'm sorry. Comrade Valentine, I've been exhaling through my nose the entire time. Yeah, no, I agree. So, BGR then says, why we should support the practice of pubescent marriage. I've previously shown from a biological perspective, it is incorrect to refer to a human being that has gone through puberty, or one that has finished puberty as a child. Therefore, it is utterly wrong to label it as child marriage. This is a thing that BGR does a lot. They say, well, I don't support child marriage only because they have a very different working definition for child marriage. Sorry, though. It is child marriage. An 11-year-old is a child. A 7-year-old is a child. There are 7-year-olds who have completed puberty. They can bear children. That is a child. They are a child. So them having marriage is not pubescent marriage. Them committing marriage, or marriage being committed on them, rather, is child marriage. We're going to find this guy. Like, not we are going to find this person, but we're going to get a news article about a huge advocate for shit like this, getting sent to jail for child molestation, and then magically the BGR articles will stop coming, and we'll know exactly what happened. Before the last century, human societies recognized three primary social classes of beings: men, women, and children. Once children entered puberty, they were basically considered either men or children. The concept of a teenager is a more recent invention over the last century. All words are inventions! All of them! Words have no meaning! Words have usage. The usage may change, but words themselves do not have meaning. All words are made up. Otherwise, languages would be axioms. And Bionic Dance in the chat, YouTube has demonetized my videos for no reason other than having the word lesbian in there somewhere. No, I've had the exact same thing happen to me. I've had to go through videos and go into the tags and go into the title and change lesbian, LGBTQ, gay, anything like that. I've had to take those out of titles before just to try to get monetization. Nowadays, I just don't care. I know they're going to demonetize half my shit. I just deal with it. It's just... continuing on. Many will argue that just because... Oh, hold on. Once they did this, usually by their late teens or early 20s, they would seek out a wife for marriage. For girls, as soon as they developed breasts and began menstruating, they were considered women and ready for marriage and childbearing. Many will argue that because a young woman is biologically ready for marriage and childbearing does not mean she's mature enough mentally for marriage and childbearing. This is something I would agree with. They're not ready. So how do we answer the question when a person is ready for marriage? Is it by looking at how civilizations have done things in the past? Is it by looking at current studies? Here we go. Lesbians. Is that a good one? Brian Stevens for $2. Lesbians. They're lesbians. They're children of the lie. Like, I don't get it. I don't get this person. Gainer in the chat. The great hope. No, I can't stand Jesse Lee Peterson. I really can't. I think he's a shitty human being. The answer, first and foremost, to him is to look at the Word of God. But if any man think that he behaveth himself uncomely towards his virgin, if she pass the flower of her age, and need so require, let him do what he will. He sinneth not. Let them marry. It's okay for a person to be a complete and total pervert to a child as long as she's past menstruation. That's literally what this says. By the way, of course, it's King James Version. Of course it's the fucking King James Version. It's always the King James Version with these people. Also, can we go ahead and say it like really plainly here? There's nothing amazing about being a virgin, just as there's nothing denigrating about being somebody who's not a virgin, somebody who's had sex. I have had sex with people who are virgins, and I have had sex with people who have had multiple partners before me. There was functionally no difference. There's none. So one, this idea that, oh, no, we'll just call them a virgin and that makes them somehow more holy or sanctimonious or anything like that is fucking stupid. Two, and more importantly, this person is not your virgin. They might be a virgin, but they are not yours. You do not own them. So, no. This is tacitly stupid. Also, what did the King James Version do to me? Well, in 1611, it fucked over my childhood. However, we must take the phrase flower of her age refers to a woman who's had her period. The Apostle Paul is telling her that the minimum age of marriage is when a woman has her first period. Are we ready to do some research, everybody? Are we ready to do a little bit of research? Most girls have their first period at around 12. However, the earliest that a woman can have her period is obviously, as per the article that Aaron linked earlier, about 5. Well, no, earlier than that, actually. Earlier than that. Because that period would have been the discharge that would have led to that child being signified, at least in somebody's eyes, as being ready for this. Context makes it so much worse. They really do. Context makes this absolutely horrendous. And I don't know if I can keep this one on screen for terribly long because the word's there. But I will go ahead and throw it in. This one is from Jack and Quill, who's also behind the This Is Very H picture. It is the concern, but moving forward into me telling BGR to shut the fuck up and do not rape kids. And get a better editor. Yeah, this is fine. We can keep this one here. Be right there. It'd be very hard for YouTube to even see that now that it's there. So it'll be fine. The internet is forever anyway. Not even looking at a shitting idea, doesn't he think that a 5-year-old could be an adult if they start menstruating? Yes. According to this, that is exactly what he is saying. No, I hate this too. I hate this too. I do not enjoy going through this all the time, but it doesn't matter that I enjoy it or not. It matters that this person, that more information dealing with this person exists. How old does she have to be to carry a child? We have a medical instance of somebody carrying a child to term and having to have a C-section, or almost to term and having to have a C-section as early as 5 years. They gave birth at 6 years and 5 months. By this person's logic, by BGR's logic, that was an A-OK thing. However, we must take the complete witness of the Scripture together to determine when it is acceptable time of love for young women, as in marriage or sex. We're going to skip the Bible verses. I really don't feel like reading the Bible verses today, especially because they're in the King James Version's flowery shit. So it is not until a young girl demonstrates all the signs of puberty, the growth of breasts, pubic hair, and having a period, that she's ready for marriage. Okay, I was in elementary school when half of my class had breasts. I was in 5th grade. This was the 7th year of my education, because I had two kindergarten years. All of them must have had puberty, according to BGR. In fact, in another scripture, we read that if a woman was completely flat-chested and had no breasts, she would have a difficult time marrying, even if she had her first period. Yeah, this is why this is an inconsistent fucking metric. This is why this is not a metric you can actually use for this. The point here is that God tells us when a woman develops breasts, grows pubic hair, and has her period, she is ready for marriage by God's law. But we must also recognize that God gives a father discretion as to whether or not his... Okay, hold the fuck on. Hold it. BGR. let me level with you for just like 2 seconds. So your argument here breaks down to a woman cannot marry if she happens to have a flat chest. That's where this boils down to. But they can marry if they have a flat chest if the father says it's okay, because she's the property of the father. I haven't had to do this in a long time. That was cathartic. That was cathartic as hell. Yeah, you heard the bonk. That means that it happened. That hit. Skipping over the Bible verses again, because he summarizes them. The passages... Oh my god, I just read the fucking next thing. Anyway, the passages above show us that the fathers have the responsibility to prepare their daughters for marriage and to be looking for suitable husbands for their daughters, while at the same time they have the right for refusal for their daughter for marriage as well. So if the daughter finds somebody they want to marry, the father can say no. But if the father finds somebody that he wants her to marry, the father has the right to say they have to. Apparently this is the world that he wants to live in. And the next section title. Of course, early teen women are very fertile. Caroline Butler wrote an article entitled "Ovaries Have Not Adjusted to Many Women's Decisions to Delay Having Children" for the Washington Post back in 2017. In that article, she stated the following inconvenient biological facts for women. Oh boy. Oh boy. Here we go. The biological reality that female fertility peaks in the teens and early 20s can be difficult for many American women to swallow, phrasing, as they delay childbirth further every year, according to the National Center for Health Statistics. In the district, the average age of initial childbirth was 26.5 years, blah, blah, blah. While we may not be mature enough to conceive at a young age, nor should we, I love how he highlights that in red, that it's still when the body is most adept at conception and carrying a baby. Says Claire, our biological clock has not kept pace with our ability to prolong our lifespans, pointing out that the research about advanced maternal age and motherhood today is clear. The older you get, the more difficult it is to get pregnant, and the higher the chance of miscarriage, pregnancy problems such as gestational diabetes and hypertension, and chromosomal abnormalities such as Down syndrome, among other concerns. Society has changed, but the ovaries will take another million years or two to catch up. Notice how she has to preface her acknowledgement of the biological reality that women are most adept at conception when carrying a baby with her value judgment that while we may not be mature enough to conceive at a young age, nor should we. As Christians, we know that the Bible says in Genesis 1:12 that the male and female created he them, and we know that God is not going to change a woman's ovaries to match our societal changes. Except he did find it okay for us to change our milk drinking patterns a couple hundred years ago. Sorry, these things do actually change. Whether or not this particular instance will mutate and change, we do not know. Evolution does not wait for you to do something in order to trigger it. Evolution is simply an adaptation that determines whether or not you can procreate. Historically, procreating younger for humans was beneficial for our survival, and so that is the trait that was meted out. That trait's still going to be there. It's not going to change. That doesn't make it okay. That doesn't make it societally acceptable. And she, yes, has to preface it because people like you exist. People like him exist, and that is the reason why we have to do that. Can we change the planet that BGR lives on? I would hope so. I would hope we can. You know, evolution is not a sentient, sapient thing. It is not self-aware. It doesn't care one way or another. It is simply going to be the thing that fires off and does what it's going to do. And the evolutionary mutation that is going to be most prolific is the one that is going to be most prolific in the things that can birth the most. Unfortunately, this means that sometimes certain traits get passed down that we don't want. Can we go ahead and consider BGR a human trait? Like, just a trait of the species is BGR, the person? Remember, peeps, BGR thinks he's going to heaven for this. That's from Nightshade in the chat. $5 from Fierce Fatties. By his logic, I was ready for marriage at the same age I was still acting like a dog in public and more interested in Barbie than boys. Yes. According to BGR, that was the perfect age. He's a cultural trait. BGR is a byproduct of... BGR is now officially the best argument we have for abortion. The world on the whole would have been a better place. Therefore, the chance that he could have been aborted is something that should have been looked into years ago. Just saying. All right. Are we ready to get into the yikes territory? Because we haven't even gotten into the yikes territory yet. We're here now. G in the chat if you're not ready for the yikes. H in the chat if you're ready to dive in head fucking first. And now it's mixed. All right. Jake 3D. BGR would respond, women are like dogs. Things for men to have. Disgusting. Thank you for the $5, BGR. Or, thank you for the $5, Jake 3D. Why'd I say BGR? I'm sorry. That was an insult. I did not mean that. And you know I didn't mean that. $10 from Black Diamonds for dealing with this level of stupid. Thank you very much for the $10. Like, you know, those donations are awesome. Also, we're about to have the chat bot, I believe. Is it coming? No? Huh, weird. Oh, there it is.
For dealing with this level of stupid.
There it is. Oh boy, let me in there. I need to fucking scream. Yeah, that's how I feel. Alright guys, you know what this means, right? You know what this means? This is where we are. This is where we are. This is where we are. Now in green, if you could stop him from being born, would that be a retcon? And would it be unethical to retcon his existence or anyone's existence? So here's the thing. I do agree that we should not go back and stop somebody from doing something, like stop them from doing an evil act, because it's only after they've committed the evil act that we can actually rightfully, legally do something. However, the other side of the argument is, would the world be a better place if people like BGR, or if BGR specifically, did not exist? I think it would be. So, I don't know. I am torn. We'll have to go ahead and grab a time machine and hop into the reality where he doesn't exist in order to see if the world is a marginally better place. Alrighty. Or Echo's boost has been acquired. Let's do this. Alright. And the next part. Early teen women are more moldable. In the above passage, God is speaking to Israel as his wife. The phrase, O house of Israel, is used in other passages like this one below, when God refers to Israel as his wife and he as her husband. Just as God sought to mold his wife Israel to be the person he wanted her to be, so, too, for a marriage to be successful, must the woman be moldable, just like clay in the hands of a potter. We hit it, guys. We've hit the spousal abuse. This person has gone from, should we allow children to marry, to an argument in favor of children marrying, to abortion, that was actually before, and now finally to everything has to dial back to him having the ability to abuse his spouse. Everything. I agree with Renata. We should get Frieza and Cell to destroy the planet. I changed my mind to G. I changed my mind to G. Why should men be allowed to mold the woman in the relationship? Why is that a thing that we should actually strive for? I don't get it. It's Klalik Knox. When women are in their early teens, they typically are more moldable, but as they get older into their late teens and especially early 20s, they become much harder to mold or to change in their person or habits. Excellence USAF for $2, and wives should get over painful sex. He literally wants to create a world in which he is allowed to mold a woman to be the perfect trophy for him. There is no point where this is not depersoning someone or dehumanizing somebody. He's talking about now bear in mind, this isn't an article advocating for child marriage, which means he's arguing in favor of child grooming. This is an argument in favor from BGR for grooming children. You did it. This is a person who needs to be on the FBI watch list. I agree with Artemis. 110%. This is somebody that desperately needs to be on a watch list somewhere. This needs to be turned over to the police. Like, if you guys want to report this article to the police, and at the same time, make sure that this person gets maybe not punishment for speech, because that's what they'll frame it as, but held accountable for literally trying to argue in favor of child grooming, then by all means. Person might not be punished, because we do actually protect all types of speech here in the United States, but I do think that this person needs to at least, and I needs to be on him. This article is a symptom of something. This article is a symptom of something in this person's life, or the person has done, or that this person wants to do. All right, we have some fan art that's in here now. Florana B is the first one that has submitted. And it is a smashing of BGR with facts and logic. Let's go ahead and get that down here. And we need to go ahead and do the usual resize of everything in order to make sure that everything will fit. And Bumblin' B, as much as I love your subscribe button, as per usual, we have now received enough fan art to where the subscribe button has to be moved. Jake 3D, would it be surprised if it were written from jail? No, I wouldn't be surprised at all. This person is just sitting there screaming from his jail cell, I should have been allowed to touch kids! That's what I'm thinking is going to happen. He's going to be still writing this blog from jail. And PS Toxic has my feelings. These are my feelings right now. These are my feelings right now. This is how I feel. This is exactly how I feel. This is an accurate representation of me right now. And then, because we're not done. We got more fan art than that. The most apt one. This is exactly what would happen if I were in charge of the situation. Please have a seat over there. Just please have a seat over there. We would go full Chris Hansen. Because BGR went full fucking pedophile apologetics. Take a seat, young BGR. That's where we are. This is where we have fallen. This is where we have sunk. We have managed to find ourselves in a situation, in a reality, where this is what we're dealing with. Oh boy. Continuing on with the madness. Bruh moment, sir. This is very much a bruh moment. Seriously, though, what is your stress relief? I'm in a constant state of stress. My stress relief would be eating copious amounts of chicken wings, but Buffalo Wild Wings is expensive. It would be. Also, Renato, what do you mean by let me in there so I can yell? I can assume I know what you mean. But I would still like to know. Okay, so continuing on. Continuing on with this event, as it were. I don't have a better word for it. This brain fuck? There's a lot of brain fucking going on. That's what it feels like to me anyway. And this is still going, yes. And it's gotten worse. It has gotten worse. So, just as God sought to mold his wife, blah, 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 we already went through that. When women are in their early teens, they are more moldable. And make no mistake, this is exactly why most people today oppose women marrying very young, because they know they are so impressionable or moldable at that age. They don't want men being able to mold young women, so they want to delay marriage as long as possible to push it into the early mid-20s. Christians who follow this false philosophy that young women need to find themselves and be their own person before marriage are going against God's design. Remember that God says marriage is a picture of Christ and the church? Does Christ mold his church? You bet he does. And he tells men to love their wives as he does. There's the abuse. There is the abuse. Do you see down there that thumbnail? Do you know why that thumbnail is how it is? I didn't tell my channel artists what I wanted. I sent them this article. This one right here. I said I don't know what to do. And Gaelic Knox came back with this. Because this is exactly what is fucking happening in this article. Make no fucking mistakes. This is biblical gender roles arguing in favor of pedophilia. And not just the attraction. Because there could be an argument there. I recognize that. Not just the attraction that may or may not be able to be controlled. He's arguing for the predatory acting upon those impulses. That is what BGR is advocating for. Let us continue. Oh, no. No, not yet. Working out is the best stress relief from Joshua Giddens 199. I actually do need to get into working out. Mainly sparring. I would like to work out more, and I would like to spar. I need my sparring partners, though, and I do not have any currently. That is my preferred method of working out. Anywho. Continuing on. We are often told today that if a man attempts to mold or change his wife's behavior at all, that he is controlling and this is bad. We are told that if a man truly loves his wife, he wouldn't try to change anything about her. Well, I can tell you based on the authority of the scriptures above, that if a man does not attempt to mold and shape his wife, to present her to himself and to God as a glorious wife in the same way Christ does his church, then he is not loving his wife as Christ loves the church. Well, that's fine, because Christ's love for the church is abusive as all hell. So, no. I would rather not be loved in the way that Christ loves his church. Spar with this dude and wreck him, thanks. I would love to. You know what? I would love to hand biblical gender roles a sword. A foam one, because that's what I have. I would like to hand him a foam sparring sword, a boffer, if you will. Stand across from him in an arena, and let's see if all of his arguments for male dominance hold forward. I would like that. Also, everybody's saying that they should show the cat so we can be happy again. The door is currently closed for the studio because Yumi was jumping everywhere. But if either Aaron or Raz are in the chat, then they can hand me a cat. And yes, it takes a sacrifice on our part as men and courage on our part as men to rebuke and chasten our wives as Christ does his churches. But when done in the correct spirit, such rebuke and chastening by husbands is called love. This is a man who thinks that that abuse is love. He likens abuse to love. This is a dangerous individual. This is a person who the mere fact that they are at large in society worries me. Drag worker says this is a rapist. Yeah, no. Yeah. So. Hello.
Was summoned.
Yumi. Come here. Come here, Yumi.
I figured the one who's like all about attention would be the best option.
Yeah.
Also, that seemed to be the request I saw the most, so.
Yeah. Thank you. This is where we are. All right. Thank you for joining me, Yumi. You are a wonderful kitty. I'm gonna go ahead and no. You got things in your eye. You got things in your eye. I gotta get rid of them. There we go. She's got like these black crusties in her eye that you have to get rid of every day or two. Excellence USA have $2 for the Cato. Yeah. Thank you very much for the $2. And I hope that the cat has helped. Daddy Cirrus, you got things in your eye. Come here. Come on. Come. There you go. There you go, Yumi. There you are. She's a good kitty. She really is. Okay. Alright, Yoomster. You see to lay there. So, conclusion. Rebecca, so here's the answer to your question. Would society be better if we returned to the standard that girls could marry as soon as they menstruated and were capable of having kids? The answer from the Bible is yes. But like many other times. This man has an editor, everybody. Remember that. But like many other times, we can see how God's design plays out when we follow it and also when we disobey it. No one can argue with the cold, hard facts that given women independence from men in general, and their fathers and husbands in particular, has been good for the institution of marriage which God designed. There's nothing saying the institution of marriage is good. By taking away women's dependence on men, we have allowed women to dominate marriage and our society. Society is now ordered around around how people feel, rather than their duty to God, family, and country. This entire article is about how you feel, BGR. Yumi, do you see the microphone as like the symbol of my suffering, and so you must attack it? Yeah, that's what's happening. The invention... Okay, Yoomster. Okay, that's enough. That is enough. That's my pop filter. That's my pop filter. You gotta stop. I need my pop filter. It says, by taking away women's independence, we have allowed women to dominate marriage in our society. Society is now ordered around how people feel, rather than duty to God, family, and country, which is just fucking nationalism. Yay. Great! This guy has been confirmed a fascist. And the invention of the teenager as an extension of childhood has not been good for our society. It has led to rampant immorality and a complete lack of responsibility among our young people today. What? I don't think you were actually asking if your husband could do this, but just as society would be better if we all turned back on this custom of marriage for young women. However, if your daughters have demonstrated the signs God says that mark the time of love for a woman, that they have developed breasts, pubic hair, and have begun menstruating, and if your husband feels they are mature enough and ready for marriage, there would be no sin in allowing them to marry. Believe it or not, there are 15 states that allow marriage below the age of 14. California, Colorado, Idaho, Louisiana, Maine, Massachusetts, Michigan, Mississippi, Nevada, New Mexico, Oklahoma, Pennsylvania, Washington, West Virginia, Wyoming. Also, several states allow 14 and 15-year-old people to marry as well. You can find a complete list of marriage state by state here at Wikipedia. Oh boy. We have a super chat that has just come in. This is from Triatiel. I'm hoping I'm pronouncing that correctly. The Yumi is a helpful supervisor. Agreed. Thank you very much for the $2 super chat. Whew. Now, on his scoffers. One of my favorite scoffers, Suzanne, wrote a piece the other day about my review of The Handmaid's Tale. I always chuckle a little when I read her stuff. I will cover just a few areas that I think apply to this article in regards to the age of Marys. Suzanne wrote, why is it always these creeps like Von Ullman imagining young burgeoning breasts and periods as a marker of readiness? Notice that when none of them view young boys of that age as ready for marriage. When they talk of men marrying, it's always men over the age of 21, while saddling them with a much too young girl. Suzanne, it is not me imagining breasts and periods as a marker of readiness, but rather the Word of God, which clearly states it. You may reject the Bible, but it is my basis for truth. How wonderful. Your basis is fucking wrong. Catherine Knight Diaz in the chat says, I have a condition, or having a condition which had me with pubes at 2, so... Yeah, no. BGR would have said that that's an A-OK thing. And before I knew and understood these scriptures and studied the history of the word, biology, and marriage, I probably would have agreed with you that early teens is too young for marriage for women. But back then, I would have been going by what you are, my feelings and my culture. No, you're just going by your feelings right now. That's all you're fucking doing. You're engaging in confirmation bias. Also, in your view of boys, I don't think that they have to be over 21. Also, I think in most cases it would be wiser for them to wait. Why? Because they have to lead a woman in their family. Dude! That's exactly what she fucking said you did, and you just did it again. That's exactly what you fucking said. Yumi is so concerned. I am sorry, Yumi. I am sorry. She is heckin' concerned. He's a fascist. Great. Another thing to put in the buckets for VDR. Yeah, no, there's been those little nods to nationalism in there. I know you struggle with this concept, but hold on, let's go a little bit further. They have to lead a woman in their family, and they have to be able to provide and protect their family, especially on the provisional front. For most young men, it takes well into their early or mid-20s until they're able to provide for a family. My 19-year-old son... You have a fucking child?! My 19-year-old son, who is a plumber, is an exception. He makes over $60,000 a year and could support a family, but he has to get some other things in line first. Why is that argument okay for the guy, but not... Why is it that the son, 19-year-old, still has some things to work out before he can support a family, but the fucking mother can be 7? Why is that okay? Why is that your argument? What the fuck happened to you to cause you to think that it's okay to advocate for your son, of all people, now to be a fucking pedophile? To act on these things. I know, Yumi. I know. I'm sorry. It's okay, though. I will be all right. You see, the other cats are used to me yelling. The other cats are used to me getting angry at this. This is new for Yumi. She has not experienced this. She is very concerned. Says, I know you struggle with this concept, but young men and young women are different. They are designed by God for different roles. A young woman does not have to leave a home to provide for one. Wait. But if the woman is 20 years old and has a $60,000 a year plumbing job, the converse of this argument must be true. The guy can produce sperm as well at about, 12 sometimes? So I guess an 11 or 12-year-old guy is perfect for this 20-year-old girl. It's okay. Except he would say that that's wrong. Even though that's consistent with his logic. Jake 3D, because they argue women don't matter and should rely on the man 100%. It's serious. Wait. That implies child bride and 20-something man. Yeah. Thank you very much for the $5 super chat, but no, this is... I want to shoot like with a water pistol myself. Just with a water pistol. In the United States, this age can come at a very young time in a girl's life. Menstruation ages have dropped, meaning that what Larry is proposing here is that girls... All right, everybody. I didn't do it. He doxed himself. There's the first name. I'm not going to say the last name, though I have it. But no, the name for BGR is Larry. It's official. He's put it in his own thing. We can now call him Larry. So, Larry, how's it going? Can we now just call BGR Larry the pedophile? Like seriously. Not pedophile. Child predator. There we go. Larry the child predator. Larry the child predator. There we go. BGR is now Looney Larry the child predator. This is the reality we found ourselves in. We found ourselves in this wonderful timeline where we have his name and he's put it there himself. Looney Larry the child predator is here to do a thing. Okay. Scrolling through chats. Oh boy. Oh, by the way, speaking of child predators, did you know that Alex Jones has been accused now of sending child porn to Sandy Hook families? Just throwing that out there. He sent them to the lawyers for the families of the Sandy Hook tragedy. The lawyers have stated this. The law firm representing the families of the 2012 mass shooting stated in court documents filed Monday, today, that they have contacted the FBI after discovering child porn in electronic files that Jones recently turned over to the Sandy Hook families as a result of their lawsuit against him calling the tragedy a hoax. Jones publicly responded on a broadcast of a show that he's being framed, saying, "You're trying to set me up with child porn. I'll get your ass. $1 million, you little gang members. $1 million to put your head on a pike." Jones then pounds a photograph of Maddie and then goes into a rant, at one point stating that he's going to kill her. Jones's lawyer denied that his client was threatening Maddie, even though he publicly said he was going to kill her on air. Mr. Jones was upset. He did not threaten her. He spoke in a compassionate fashion. Bullshit. Just so you guys have it. In case you're wondering where I'm reading this from. This was sent to me by Atheist Rationale. Boom. Go ahead and have a read. Also, we have another $2 super chat from Excellence USAF. Wow, Larry the Cucumber went off the deep end. And your boredness for $1.99. Looney Larry, the fascist predatory pickle. Please? Yeah. There we are. There we are. How is I'm going to kill you a compassionate fashion? Yep. Yeah, sorry. Alex Jones is going to be in a prison cell soon. And I'm not in any way upset about that fact. Because of all the suffering he's managed to cause. Let's see. You know what? Normally I wouldn't count it because it's, but it is related to what's going on right now. Renata-chan in the chat has posted. Hold on, I need to. Where's the image 0? When you guys name your things image 0, it makes my life really hard. But we have You okay? Yeah, I'm fine. Screes in anger. Screes in fucking anger. Continuing on. Aura Echoes is working on a fan art. It is a work in progress, but it is there nonetheless. Aura Echoes is a wonderful artist. But we have another Furus. Many Furuses. And then, where is... Yes, Yumi. Continuing on. Just had time for a quick sketch, but this is a mood. This one is from Skylark. It's time to stop. And that is where we are right now. And that is how I feel. I wish BGR would stop. Comrade Valentine. Ew, this could really be my Uncle Larry for $2. That's a scary thought. That is a scary, scary thought. And it's okay if it didn't crop right. I got you. I did some croppage. I took care of that. We have a stream discussion thing that has just been posted there. Oh, fucking course he's a Larry! From Zach FR. Larry from Subway. Well, he'll get plenty of footlongs. It's okay. So, continuing on. Yes, Yumi, it's okay. It's okay. The mic is not the reason I'm upset. It's this guy named Larry who's a freaking advocate for rape. That's the thing I'm upset about. If you want, go attack him. It's okay, Yumi. I've said on multiple times that I like the Jewish rule of a minimum age of 12. The truth is that it is extremely rare for 9-year-olds to have a period. But when you are leaving out several other key factors in order to build your straw man argument, I said the minimum age of marriage requires all the following things, not just a girl having her period. She must have had developed breast, pubic hair, and had a period, and her father must determine she's ready. Okay, well, one, that still means that the woman is property. That's all that boils down to. Two, your argument that 12 years old is okay does not help. Like, literally, he's put the hard line on his argument. The minimum age of 12 is okay. Nope. Nope. And of course, Excellence UCF, my dude, have you met a 12-year-old? This dude literally would look at a 12-year-old and then go, yes, would you marry me? And then pay the father like $10,000 for the opportunity to marry because, you know, the marriage dowry and all that shit. Says, do you know why you were nowhere near ready at the age of 11 to marry? It's because you were raised in a culture that has vastly extended childhood far beyond what cultures in the past did. If you were raised in pre-modern times, especially medieval or ancient times, you absolutely would have been preparing for marriage at 11, and most likely be married by 12 or 13. You see, that is one of the many differences between your worldview and mine. You believe that the purpose of little girls, and by extension women, is to live for themselves, have fun, and do whatever makes you happy at a particular moment because we know that changes every 5 minutes. You literally say that what makes women happy changes every 5 minutes? Last I checked, there was never a point in time in the last 5 years that Raz would not have been made happy by a cake. Or by a new video game. That is not a thing that has changed. So, yeah, that doesn't change every 5 minutes. But other people who believe the Bible is the inerrant word of God, such as myself, believe that we were put here for more than riding horses and playing with toys. Yeah, being fucking baby factories. That's what you're advocating for, dipshit. Also, I noticed that I'm being a little more insulting than I normally am here, but I'm sorry. I'm being a little insulting. He's being a little child rapist. So, no, I'm perfectly okay with my language being a little insulting right now. I think it's justified. It says, in speaking of happiness, we understand a truth that utterly escapes most secularists and you as well. We understand that happiness is not a simple feeling, but it is also a choice. Happiness is a choice? What? We can choose to be happy in whatever circumstances life brings us. This is a special kind of joy that few people know or understand. We can choose to let God and His Word lead our hearts instead of letting our hearts lead us. I pray one day you will come to know these truths and accept Christ and His Word as they are and not as you would have them be. $5 from Excellence USAF. This guy needs to stop using Crusader Kings as his moral compass. This guy needs to stop pretending he has one. Oh, boy. Let's see what the comments say. To be better than we are now is a low bar to cross. It is not one extreme or the other. There's a great deal of real estate between the positions of marriage and menstruation and delaying marriage to a few years short of menopause. That being said, society would be better off if both girls and boys married younger than the current norms. So much evil could So much evil could be stopped and family unity solidified if we eschewed the you go girl philosophy, complete with its fornication and partying instead of a instilled a multi-generational purpose. But alas, I am howling at the moon. Experiencing pleasure has replaced any other higher existence. No, hedonism did not randomly replace everything. It did not. What else do you have here? Jesus, fuck. I would not have been comfortable with my daughter marrying at 13 or 14, but I think we need to recognize that this is because of how we raise our daughters in our modern culture. In pre-modern times, a young woman was not married by that time. It was considered outside the norm. Women marrying at 18 or 19 were considered old maids at that point. So really, it's just a matter of perspective. No, it is almost if we get better, like our morality relativistically gets better over time. That seems to be the case. We refine morality. We start actually being able to look at case studies and meta-analyses to determine what actions lead to what ends. And we find that society is happier when certain actions are allowed or disallowed. Fucking child marriage and marital rape are things that we've discovered are not actually ubiquitous to having a well-functioning society. This person. All of these people make me upset. They really do. No, these are the comments. These are the comments. These are the comments here. And we have from the Crazy Canadian another fan art that has been submitted that we will go ahead and throw in here because I need something to bleach my brain from this. Just anything. Anything at all. Okay. And there it is. Okay. All right, so first thing I want to go ahead and get out of the way. I'm not ending the stream just yet. We are done with his article, and we are no longer going through any of his shit in here. We've gone through all of it that I want to go through today. But I would like to spend a few minutes having a conversation with some of you guys with where we are right now, with what has happened, with what we've seen throughout the course of this article. So, given that that is the case, and that I hope you guys are having a wonderful time so far, regardless of how much this makes me want to scream, can we please do something to lighten the mood? I wish we could. I wish we could. But I can't think of anything that would actually effectively lighten the mood after this. What I think I will do, though... Hold on. What I think I will... Heroin and bleach. That would stop me from feeling, yes! That's something that would stop me from feeling. But... no, instead, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a thing real quick. If anybody has an opinion, I think the first one I want to hear from is Renata, because she's been saying in the chat that there's some things she wants to yell and scream. Go ahead and hop into the stream voice chat. And I will be in there momentarily. And then I will slowly open that up in order... how can one find this blog? Look in the description. I actually have that in my description. But I will slowly open up the stream chat so we can have a few minutes of back and forth voice communication over what has gone here. Because this has been a ride. A ride and a half. And yeah, no, dude is scum. The dude is literal fucking scum. So, I'm in the stream chat. If you have words... Oh, we have one person who is in. How's it going, Excellence? If you're speaking, I cannot hear you. Nope, I still cannot hear you. Also, if you want to hop into the stream chat, I have now created a stream waiting room. So you guys can hop in there and I can pull people in if need be. And since I can't hear Excellence, I'll go ahead and increase this one. Go ahead and pull you down first. Brain. Okay. We're going to go ahead and set this to 4 users for now. There we are. Okay. So what is my favorite kind of kidney interference? I do not know. Okay, so I'm imagining there's some yelling and screaming that people want to do.
Yep.
How's it going, Zach?
Okay. A bit annoyed at this.
Yeah. That's about how I would be.
I'm 14.
So you're literally just above the age that this person would be advocating for.
Yeah.
Also, Excellence. It sounds like I can hear you now. Say stuff.
No, I'm not hearing anything.
I'm seeing it light up, but
Yeah.
I'm not hearing things. Hold on. Let me... Nope. It's not me. I didn't do it.
I had them before, but not now.
Yeah, that's about where we
Well,
are.
try using a microphone boost if you have Windows. That might.
While he's figuring that out, I'm going to move him to the private area. That way, the non-stream area, so someone else can pop in as well. Since that is the case.
I thought we moved past this shit in like the Middle Ages.
But yeah, like every guy named Larry that me or any of my family members know is always like a horrible person in one way or another.
I don't know a Larry, except Larry the Cucumber, so I can't say anything on that.
So when it just said Larry in my mind, I'm like, oh my god, it's one of them.
Excellent. Are you audible now? That sounds like a negatory. That sounds as if it's a negatory. But yeah, no, I really wish that we had moved past this. But apparently there are some people that want us to regress back in it. Which is funny, because one of the things that people who are like more left-leaning are accused of being are the regressive left. That's the word that I hear a lot. And yet literally we have somebody here who's a right-wing fundy who's being as regressive as you possibly can be.
Yeah, regressive as in let's go back a couple thousand years.
Yep.
We've moved on. Let's just keep it there. I don't know.
Remember we were primitive tribes? Yeah, that was good.
People think they're for diet, so why not for culture?
Alright, here I am.
There you go.
I just heard that.
Excellent.
Yeah,
How much yelling and screaming would you like to do?
At this point, I'm just like several Vakatonics in, and that's helping me a lot.
Fair enough. I would imagine that after a while,
I'd be
you can numb
yelling, but
yourself from it.
I'm just worn out from going to a steakhouse, so I'm just too tired to yell.
No, I mean like I think most of my yelling is just me typing "fuck" really like in all caps in the chat repeatedly. Like, what the hell is this?
Seriously, I think this guy's moral compass is essentially that magic compass from Pirates of the Caribbean. You know, the one that Captain Jack Sparrow has that points to whatever he wants.
Yeah. Like,
That's
I
his
don't know.
moral compass.
I feel like I can't, because like people were saying in chat, this guy's probably related to NIFB. I feel like I can't escape these guys. I was watching a Cinema Snob episode earlier, and they mentioned like the IFB. I'm like, what the heck?
No.
I can't escape these guys.
Wait, Cinema Snob mentioned the IFB?
Yeah, it was like because he had this like old he covered some old videos from like the 70s that were like these like hell scare videos, and it was like the third one. He mentions that one of the preachers in it is an IFB preacher. I'm just like, really? I just can't escape these guys.
No, you can't. You can't escape them as much as you wish you could.
I think I join the Jehovah's Witnesses and the Mormons that stalk like my subway station.
Oh yeah, like if you're in Atlanta, the Jehovah's Witnesses are always out there. I kind of want to talk to them at some point.
So do I, but I'm just too scared.
I did talk to some Scientologists at one of the stations. I actually have a video of that.
Oh no.
That said, all right, hold on. I want to hear what Renata has to say because I've heard many much yelling in chat.
I'm sorry, I was just so livid at like everything that this disgusting creature had to say. I refuse to call him a man. I refuse to call him a human.
Yeah,
because
this guy gave up his
men would have a look at like a
humanity
12-year-old girl and say,
kids.
nah, probably not gonna stick my dick in that.
Yeah.
But still, it's like, I did have a little ditty I wanted to sing him.
Give me just 1 second.
I'm a rather gifted singer.
We do have a $5 super chat real quick from Scarefest that was keep up the good work, buddy. Thank you very much for the $5 super chat. And with that said, let's go ahead and hear the ditty.
I try to live my life every day, keep out of strife. Come what may, I try to do unto others as I'd have them do to me. But it can't be done for everyone, and now it's plain to see. You are a cunt, a big fat stinky cunt. Say it ain't true when I hear tell you you're a motherfucking cunt. You are a cunt, a motherfucking cunt. Everybody knows from your head to your toes, you big fat stinky cunt.
The stream's totally
that was amazing, and that's
That
how we
perfect.
got demonetized.
That
We
is
weren't
perfect.
demonetized already.
If that's the one thing that YouTube demonetizes me for, I'm okay with that.
Because fuck you, YouTube. This shit needs to be
You're
exposed.
just like, you can talk about all this crazy stuff, but the second you start singing explicit lyrics, that's a big no-no from us.
That's
Like, how hard? I don't get it. It's like, oh, let me look at this child and say, oh, I can mold and shape. No, it's fucking grooming. That's what this guy's doing. This guy is like writing a fucking thesis on how and why I should groom children. What is this bullshit?
Oh, sorry.
I just want to know, like, when this guy started to go insane.
It was a long time ago.
From childhood.
How old is his current wife?
I don't know. Hopefully older than 13.
Well, you're here because you came in,
Maybe she's
Fucking
14.
lolicons. God damn.
and it is.
I
it is
mean,
still
older than
this.
18.
But it was requested that we had a bit of a de-stress period because of how fucking bad this article got. So we are doing a de-stress period. I have the stream room capped at 5 people.
Hello.
And I'll be rotating. I'll be rotating people as we go for a few minutes while we de-stress before the show technically is over. So that's where we are.
I mean, I did earlier point out his grammar. And that it ranks up there with the greats from terrible creepypastas I've read. For example, one sentence I love was, "With luck, I landed on the ground."
I bet you this guy does,
It's like
like,
bad
like,
fanfic.
I landed on the ground.
Yeah. It's Bible fanfic.
I mean, after all, it was Tuesday, and that's the day we rip up the pavement and replace it with pastry.
Oh yeah, this guy's like bad fanfic level. I don't have words.
I have read better fan fiction than this article.
Hello,
I've written fanfics better than this.
You know who you talking to? You a slut.
She's
I've
Gaelic
seen
knots in the
like
chat.
really
Stop.
horrible
No,
translated
Renita's also
fanfic
a
that's
slut. And
better
so
than
is,
this.
So is
At
Zach.
times,
Zach
I'm pretty
is
sure my
definitely
Chinese is
Zach-
better than
Zach
this
is a
guy's.
slut.
Okay, yeah.
Zach
Renita's
is
also a what?
definitely a slut. He's a hug slut, though.
Yes,
Slut.
I'm a.
He
I'm
My
gives
a.
out all-
Indonesian's better than
all
his
kinds of
English.
hugs.
Well, yes, if you hired me as your editor, you would sound a little less like an idiot, but then everybody would be able to understand what the fuck you're trying to say,
Drag.
and they'd
And he
throw
sounded
you
even
in
more like
jail
an idiot.
way
He sounded
faster.
even more like.
All right. So for the next probably another minute,
I'll leave
and
because
then
I'm
I'm gonna do.
gonna go in a bit.
Okay. Then
Yeah,
do
rotate
that.
me before I start saying really, really, really bad things about this guy.
All right. I'm rotating you.
Because I am angry. Lots of angers.
I mean,
Okay.
I at least got to let out my anger.
I have rotated drag in, and then Haberjaw has taken the next rotation. How's it going, guys?
Look, it is two more sluts. It is Haberja who waved to me, and Drag who said
Is-
hello.
Haberjaw, she is salutes because she wave?
Yeah.
Okay.
Hi.
I mean, I don't know.
I'm
if
waving,
what
but you can't see it.
I don't know if what I
Aw.
say is going to lighten the mood, but I just would like to combine this man's work of his website to reach the peak impact of what he's saying. So, he's advocating for being able to marry 12-year-olds. And then with his other stuff where, you know, if you're the wife, you don't really have a right to resist sex. He's literally advocating for full-out child rape. Just
You know what, though?
extra steps. Ugh. I'm sorry. I
This
just,
also does make me think that maybe it's his wife that's editing this and she's trying to sabotage him.
I would hope that that's the case.
oh, please. Yes,
I
that
would love it if that were the case.
That would be amazing.
That said, Midnight, I'm going to go ahead and rotate you up, and we're going to grab one of the people from up top.
Okay.
Up top. Doop. Tumbleweed, you have been rotated.
Hello.
Oh yay!
As much as I know
God,
that
this
the
is
last.
so fucking weird.
What's up?
I had the stream playing in one ear and then
Oh.
right here started echoing.
Yeah,
Fair
pardon.
enough.
I'm out in the rain, and I got a special umbrella. I'll show you later.
Just bringing up the whole like this is worse than bad fan fiction. I have read I Am Mortal just
I read all of my
pick
Immortal.
out all
It's on my
of
channel.
the fucking grammatical errors and naming errors. Enjoyable than this.
You're both braver than I am.
cease
I'm-
existence.
That snap and looping scene, huh?
I do not understand. Can you
But,
read it?
I did. It is in 3 parts on my channel.
No, I'm saying
With
that
me.
there's a fan art that was just submitted, and I'm trying to read it. I see you are, and then cease existence.
You cease your existence. Something cease your existence.
I think one of the things that a lot of people who talk about these biblical gender roles type stuff forget is that back when the Bible was written, life expectancy was like 30 to 40 years
I will
old.
metaphorically
We lived
hug
in a completely
Jack and
different
Quill
world.
and metaphorically hug anyone else that doesn't like to be touched, and then actually hug all the people that do want to be touched.
I do need a hug.
I think I know what the sign says in the fan
I
art.
mean, even if you were to grant them the life expectancy,
I
thing,
like
that's-
had an emotional meltdown yesterday, and I just kind of needed a hug.
You are advised to cease your existence.
At BGR.
on an interesting note, I think that BGR
Featuring my
Larry,
mascot.
Mr. Larry, sir,
I'll be right back.
you have no big dick energy. You have to borrow all of yours.
Wait, Drag. He has no big dick energy. He has to borrow all of his from what?
From the Bible.
He has to borrow all of his big dick energy from the Bible. That's
Yeah.
perfect.
No, he has no big dick energy. He needs to compare it to children so that he can actually feel like he has one.
Oh, oh no! Oh,
Oh no, no,
Ripped apart.
no.
Ripped apart.
like the child. Oh God.
All right, I'm going to
I'll
go
see
ahead.
myself out after that.
That explains his AR-15. All right, I'm going to go ahead and rotate Renita up, and then grab another person who's been waiting up there.
Honestly, I'll hop out too. I didn't have much to say. I just wanted to pop in. Thanks for doing the stream, my dude. I always appreciate them.
Fair enough.
Case has been waiting for a while.
All right, let me go ahead and grab Case. How's it going, Case?
Hey, I'm just gonna say that the only time I've ever found quote-unquote child marriage acceptable is that one time where this small child that was terminally ill from cancer and who married her favorite nurse. And it was like a mock ceremony, and it was just to...
So it's only basically it's only okay when it's fake at that point.
Yeah, if you're like, at this point in modern society, to where our lifespans all have far extended, we're more economically stable. In antiquity, I could understand the argument for very young marriages, but at this point, no. No.
You know, BGR is literally advocating for a regression to a more primitive time.
Oh yeah, that is no. No,
Yeah.
we are not in a point in our species to where we are dying from disease constantly. We have... Hold on, I gotta mute the stream because I can't think because I'm hearing repeat.
Fair. And speaking
okay.
of the stream's going to be up for only about 2 more minutes. So if anybody
Okay.
wants to, if anybody who's listening to the stream still wants to hop in, there is one spot that is in the stream chat that is available.
Okay.
I'll drop out.
All I'm saying is that at this point in society, to where our lifespans, we have no risk of like constantly dying from disease, having to constantly produce children, and having to constantly just make up for constant death. I can understand where you want to have a wife as soon as possible with a financially stable older husband. At this point, where we are in society where none of that is necessary, there is no need for early marriage.
Fair enough. And then Froppy, you just hopped in. How's it going?
Hi, all I gotta say is, what size clown shoe does biblical gender roles wear?
I don't know. Okay, come on.
It's not my fault.
Also, hi, I was the one that sent the fan art that you couldn't read. I'm sorry that my handwriting is butt.
Fair enough. My handwriting is awful as well. I've been told multiple times that I should have become a doctor by merit of my handwriting alone.
Oh, mood.
I have also been told such things.
I've been told I should be a lawyer, but that's because my grandfather is a lawyer.
I've also been told I should get into politics, but I hate politicians, so
That's okay.
I'm gonna hop out so someone else can hop in.
Alrighty. You just become the thing you hate. It's okay.
Okay, later.
Yeah, but anyway, what size clown shoe does biblical gender roles wear? And I'm gonna hop out so other people can hop in.
The size of there's a constant saying that like the size of your feet and hands is indicative of the size of your penis. So based on that, I'd go ahead and say that BGR has like what, probably a size 2 for his feet.
Well, considering I was in a size 3 by the time I was 12, I'll be generous and give him a size 3.
Okay, well that's more generous than I would have been. Also, we have a $2.
I really don't want to be fucking thinking about this.
We have a $2 super chat from Nowie Green. Hey Sirius, what's your hammer's name? Also, BGR blah. So the hammer's actually the Doom Hammer. It's from World of Warcraft.
How do you not know the Doom Hammer?
I did
Well,
not know the Doomhammer until right now.
Yeah, just by not being a Warcraft or a Hearthstone fan.
That saddens me a little bit.
Fair. The hammer's name is also just Surus. Surus hits people with Surus. Surus hits Surus with Surus.
Who's the Surus you're hitting with Surus?
Yeah, you stole Thrall's outfit. Hey, he's not wearing it anymore. Have you seen the most recent cinematic in WoW? Thrall's not wearing it anymore. It's not stealing if he's not using it, right?
Actually, he pretty much just lost the overrobe.
Audio quality.
I can hear you, Keon.
Okay. I'm sorry if I'm not too talkative.
It's fair. Stream's only going to be going on for a little bit longer anyway, not terribly much.
To which I am probably going to jump out now.
Fair enough. Athena in the chat, which Warcraft game? Warcraft 3 and onward. In the story of the novel before Warcraft 3, he gets the Doomhammer from Ogryn Doomhammer, if memory serves, and then he uses the Doomhammer all the way through Warcraft up until the Legion expansion.
When he gets the Doomhammer, he also gets the Frostwolf crest added to it. That's how you know it's Thrall's Doomhammer, because yours has the Frostwolf hammer.
What's up, honey?
I want to make a call out. I want Hammer Surus Fem versus regular Surus. So the hammer is Fem Surus and Surus. Please. Please. I need it. I need the gay of himself.
Surus versus Fem Surus, each with a different hammer Surus.
There is... Oh my gosh. There's a... I didn't want to put the other one, the other fan art, because it does say that a subset of people, for whatever reason, need to cease existence. So I'm not going to be posting that one. But there is a fan art that was just submitted that I will post. And that is, child marriage is bad. I didn't think I needed to say this.
I made that one.
That is 10 out of 10. And then... Evan says, I was advised to put this here. I am jumping onto Larry the Lobster. BGR is now just Larry the Lobster. Now that he's outed his name as Larry.
It was his fault for doing it.
Yeah, he put it in his own thing. That was entirely his fault.
You had a $2 super chat, Saris.
$2 super chat from Nowie Green. Doomhammer, no cool name like Brynhilder. No cool name, just the Doomhammer.
Just saying, Nowie, if you read Doomhammer's lore, it's actually really interesting.
It's literally like, this family is great until it's not, and then they lose me. That's how you know the family fucked up. That's literally the condensed version of Doomhammer's lore.
It pretty much has the same premise as Mjolnir, that like you can only have it if you are worthy of having it.
Well, but the Doomhammer itself doesn't actually have like any magical properties, if memory serves. It's mainly just tradition. Like, it can be used as a conduit for shamans, but like the actual hammer itself has no power.
Yeah. It's just the orcs feel like they have so much honor that when they realize that their family doesn't have the honor to wield it anymore, they give it to somebody else.
Yeah, fair enough. That all said, I do think that that's going to be the end of this particular stream, especially after all of the madness we had to deal with BGR. So, hopefully you guys enjoyed. I'm going to be ending out of here. See ya.
World of Warcraft lore.